Hi, this video is a little tutorial on how to how to run the online game, the Water Distribution System series game for the first time. So what you get is from a GIT hub, you're gonna get a zip file, and once you extract that folder somewhere, then you can just get there. And if you have when you have Windows, you can see the path of your folder here. So you're gonna need to do a couple of things. You're gonna copy the path of that folder where you got all the important files at the top of the folder, and you're gonna go to a command line. You start a command line and you type cd and then that path in order to go where your game folder is, and then you can start doing installations and things like that. So you should have gone through the GIT hub instruction on installing the database server and the game library. If you have installed RoboMongo as it was advised, you would check that there's a database somewhere. So what you can do is first, once you are in this folder area, you can install the game libraries. So you will do npm install, enter. Then it's going to take a couple of minutes to install all that, and you will get warning messages because the technology is based on stacks, lots of different online little JavaScript libraries that work together, and all that sandwich of multiple libraries in the end makes your application, your multiplayer online game work. So some of these libraries are outdated, are not even needed, but by default the stack is trying to install the whole thing, and mostly it will find even some error messages sometimes for some of these libraries that are not really used by the system. So nothing to worry about. What really matters is at the end of your installation on the command line, you should be able to see something like a tree-like structure. So it's gonna take probably half a minute or so. Yes, that's it. See that tree structure at the end of the command line? If everything has been installed properly, that's what you should see. That means that everything has been installed properly, and a new folder called node_modules has been created. This is where all the classes and weird things have been installed. Alright, so your game is actually ready to start. So what you do is, once you've installed that, you're still in the same folder structure, same directory, where you just type sales lift, then you type the port number, so you should port and then 80. 80 is the default port for HTTP, so any HTTP URL browser based application are usually using that port. Alright, so sales lift port 80. Notice that I forgot something. It's minus port 80. Yes. Alright, so here, then you're gonna see, that's it. You should see that thing, the little boat, means the server, the game server is now running, is trying to connect, is trying to listen to any player that's gonna go on the server, and you can now play the game on your machine, or if your machine is actually available online, if it's connected to the internet and there's no strange company firewall that would block the port 80, then other players which are on the internet, which have the address of your machine as a host, as a server, can then type that address and automatically they'll be able to play the game. So you're on your machine, you can go to the Chrome browser and you can just type localhost if you're on your machine, and you just type localhost without any number, because by default it's going to find the port 80. So that's it. This is your game, the very first screen you can see. One little trick: everything you're going to create, usernames and things like that, are going to be stored in a database which is now running on your little server. If you want to check the content of the database, you'll be able to do it by using RoboMongo, this little utility I advise to install in the instructions. So once RoboMongo is installed, it's there in my screen. I will just double click on it, and then it's gonna say, well, what can I connect to? So you can click on create there in the corner, and it's gonna ask you new connection, blah blah blah, and there will be default settings, so you just save that, and you got a new connection. You connect, and you will see, yay, there's a new database that will be created somewhere in a corner. It might be empty for the moment, but normally once you start your server, it will create by default little sales database. Okay, so if we go to the game, the very first time you're going to need to sign up, create a couple of user accounts, so that you need an admin account and you need a player account to test the game or play it. So let's sign up. Click on sign up. Now the trick is, to be a good admin, you need a default name that will be recognized as an admin privilege thing by default. So my encoded name, and I recommend that you use exactly the same, is the_DM. I meant by that the Dungeon Master, but yes, if you type the_DM as username, then you type some other thing like the_DM, like an imaginary email address, the_DM@hot.com or something like that. Then you make a simple password, up to you, and then you create an admin account. That's it. Now you're going to be able to create games and scenarios and things like that with this account. Let's sign out. We need to create also a player account, so you can test the game not as an admin but as a player. So sign up, and then it's time you create whatever name you want. I recommend not to have avoid spaces in between names and things like that. It avoids usually problems anyway, as a general rule of thumb. So I've got a user T1, and I'm going to create a user email address t1@hot.com, and I'm going to enter a very simple password here. So there's no game available for the player because we need to configure it. So let's sign out. Now let's sign in as an admin. This ddm@hot.com, which my email address of the admin, and the password and the username I created, and here you go. So now we are in as an admin. We want to run the Aqualibrium game, so first we need to upload an APANET file to create the network of the Aqualibrium game. So I go to the network thing. If in the main page at the center, there is something called network at the top on the right. Click on network, and you see there's no uploaded network so far, so we need to add one. So I'll click add new network, and enter a name, A1, like Aqualibrium 1, A1, something like that. Choose a file. You'll see in the folder that you've unzipped, there is already an aqualibrium.imp APANET. So we select it, open it, and it's gonna find the file with all sorts of things in it. So you need to change a couple of things. First, for the pipe diameters, by default they're kind of a bit random. You need, for the Aqualibrium problem, you need to have one pipe diameter of 3.7 and another one 7.1. This is actually the size of the pipe for that problem. Then you erase all the rest here, because you only have two type of pipes that that you play with anyway. And you erase the rest in the pipe course because you don't need that, and you can leave these two values because they are not used in this particular exercise. Course is not taken into account. Also, you need to make sure you can ignore other values. These are for the other game, the Modena games. You need to make sure that some pipes are not replaceable pipes in the equilibrium problem. So everything which has a size different from 7.1 in these columns, you can unclick the replaceable checkbox. So the very first pipe, 1, unclick replaceable, and the very last 3 pipes, you have to unclick the replaceable. Once you've done that, you're good, you're ready. You just click upload. That's it. You've created a network from an uploaded EPANET file which contains all the data from your network. Now you can create a game scenario. Click on game, add a new game, enter a name like aqualibrium 1. That's the name of your game. Then you need to make sure, at the moment we have only uploaded one file, so select the EPANET network you've uploaded, and there's only one, so it's A1, so we're good. Select the game mode, make sure, don't forget that one, make sure that it's an aqualibrium type of problems in the game mode. So select aqualibrium. You don't need to select anything for the other parameters like team size and time points. This is more for the Modena game. Alright, you've got the list of users so far as in your system, so you need to make sure that the admin user, the DM, is not participating to the game. It's just used to configure the game. So you will replace the values, the team name and all these things by -1. And for the team member column, you do the same, -1. So you only have one active user so far, and the value is correct. The username is T1. It is part of the team T1. This needs to be set up like that by default, and same team name and username, and team member 0. That's okay. You click create, and once you've done that, you need to go back to the settings. So it will have picked up lots of stuff from the upload file and things like that, and once you just need to click update again so that the game has been registered with all sorts of parameters. That's important not to forget to go to settings once you've created the game thing and just validate it again. Now you go to view game, and these are things most of it is not very important. It's just good to know that you can stop the game here. So start. Okay, your game is started. You can sign out. You've done your job as an admin. Now any user that is in the list when you configured the game will be able to access it. So T1 is gonna log in, sign in, and hey, you can see available to play the game Aqualibrium 1. Click on play. Here you go. The game is there. You can see that in order to submit a valid solution, you need to make sure that you don't have more than 8 red pipes, and as it starts empty, you need to correct that. So you click shift, for example, to multiple select many pipes, and change the size to 3.7 millimeter, and shift to select another bunch of pipes so that the requirements are met for valid submission. So this one are bigger, and you can click on commit, and hey, you can see that this solution gives you that kind of height in the reservoirs. You can change slightly, perhaps something, click on commit again, commit, and it's a different solution with different results. And if you go there, you can see your previous submissions. Alright, now I'm gonna sign out. Notice that it's better for all users that are gonna participate to the game to sign up in advance, and then you create your game and give all the users which are participating, make sure they're included in the game. If the game has already started and you need to add a user, like now for example, we can do that. I'm going to create user T2, and I'm arriving late. The game has already started. You can see user T2 doesn't see the game because the game is not configured to have user T2 on board. So we've created a user T2 account. You sign out, you go to the admin, so you use your BDM account. You go to settings for your game. You're going to notice that user T2, the team name of user is not the same as the user, so you need to make sure that this team name is the same, T2, as the username. Once you got that, click on update, and now you're good. User T2 can participate. You can sign out, and if I'm user T2, I sign in, and now the game is available to play. And behold, user T2 starts from scratch. Okay, so let's sign out. Note that there's also a little info thing here that gives you some instruction on how to play the game. Alright, the game now works online. It's a multiplayer online game. There's another version of the game that can be configured to have teams of users playing together, but I'm not gonna detail that today. Thank you for your attention, and best of luck playing the game.